Hey, how's it going? So, it's just me now. What? Why? Well, the Saint of Time is busy. So now Sonic 3 and Knuckles, let's jump into it. After Sonic 2's success, Sega said, yep, let's make another one, no questions asked. They began working on it with certain conditions. STI, the Sega Technical Institute, insisted that they get a Japanese-only dev team. I'm pretty sure it was mainly Naka. Racist, I swear. In reality, they wanted to avoid the problems they had with cultural differences, but the Americans would work on other things while the Japanese would work on Sonic 3. This time, the ideas brought to the table were huge. Sonic 3 was to have a bigger story, bigger levels, more speed, more everything. Not just that, since the ambition was so large, the developers were gonna have to figure things out. However, some punk-ass clown would hinder that process. Sega had made a marketing deal with McDonald's of all people to release Sonic toys with Happy Meals. Man, this is bullshit. I'm still not happy. Because of that, Sonic 3 was split in half. Damn, Ronald McDonald must have offered them something good, but with that deal, the developers got to work. Experimenting with this new graphics chip to do 3D stuff, but that would have made the game way too expensive for everybody, so they just left the title as a remnant of it. Again, just like in Sonic 2, they had an internal competition with the winner coming up with a brand new character. The team took inspiration from certain places in San Francisco, such as Angel Island, Ice Cap, and other things. This game was huge. That ambition also got someone big to work on the game, Michael Jackson. Sega actually got Michael Jackson himself. Well, allegedly. We don't know much about this. It's really hush hush. But with the fact that Sonic Origins had to change the music for Ice Cap, Launch Base, and Carnival Night, yeah, I don't think they can deny he worked on it. Not just that, but this is where I'm gonna go all conspiracy theorist up in here. Before Jackson's death, Sonic 3 and Knuckles saw re-releases with original music. After his death, that's when Sonic 3 and Knuckles saw almost no re-releases, as if something had changed. Just on speculation on my end, since Michael Jackson actually liked Sonic, I think when he was alive, Sega had an easier time negotiating since he didn't want the game to be held in a vault. He wanted people to enjoy it. After his death, Michael Jackson's estate took over control of his songs, most likely making it more difficult for Sega to re-release it. Maybe they asked for more money or just got stingier, but who knows? Brad Buxer supposedly was the one to compose the music. He was Michael Jackson's main dude. Even one of his old songs sounds similar to Ice Cap that went unreleased. But yeah, for years Sonic 3 was held tight, but with Origins the music was replaced and the game itself was recreated with the retro engine. Nut. Hell, before this, PC re-releases changed the music already. That's how big the game was. They introduced new locations, more lore. Robotnik is on an island named Angel Island. The island is home to Knuckles the Echidna, the guardian of the Master Emerald. Everything about this was bigger. The ambition and direction was insane. But by February 2nd, 1994, Sonic 3 released. And while the public played the game, just like an actual STI, the Sega Technical Institute continued to work behind the scenes without people realizing. And later, Sonic and Knuckles was released later that same year. In order to complete the game, new lock-on technology was made to make the game complete. Thus, Sonic 3 and Knuckles was fully finished. I'm not going to play Sonic 3 alone and Sonic and Knuckles alone. The game had different features in both, but combining them brought all of them together. This was pretty cool. So let's look at the game. Just like last time, I will be using the original game and Origins versions, combining the story. So you'll be seeing Sonic Origins cutscene with the original cutscene. Let's get started. After the events of Sonic 2, the Death Egg falls back to the planet, crash landing on a floating island. Robotnik survives this and after a temper tantrum, sees this giant gem, which we now know as the Master Emerald. Before he can grab it, the guardian of the island stops him, Knuckles the Echidna. Before Knuckles can beat his ass, Robotnik tells Knuckles that he was trying to protect the animals and Sonic and Tails defeated him with the power of the Chaos Emerald. Knuckles, not knowing Robotnik is the real bad guy, trusts him and thus the start of Sonic 3 begins. Sonic and Tails want to ensure Robotnik is not doing anything bad. They fly in on the tornado with Sonic transforming to Super Sonic to get the adventure started. As Sonic flies onto the island, Knuckles hits the dude, knocking the emeralds out of Super Sonic and takes the emerald with him chuckling.
You can call me Knuckles. Unlike Sonic, I don't chuckle.
Fucking liar. Tails lands the plane and joins Sonic with the adventure officially starting as Sonic and Tails traverse the floating island called Angel Island, which is now on the water for some reason. He finds these hidden rings that take him to a special stage to recollect the Chaos Emerald. As Sonic reaches a part of Angel Island, Robotnik's badniks invade and set the island on fire. How does Knuckles think Robotnik is the good guy? I don't understand. Knuckles, the fuck's going on up there? As Sonic defeats the bosses in Act 1, he continues onward to Act 2 where he fights Robotnik and Knuckles sends him to hide Hydro City. Knuckles throughout Sonic and Tails' adventure will come in the middle of a zone or at the end and mess with the duo. Sonic and Tails end up going through 6 zones and end up at launch base. Robotnik attempts to relaunch the Death Egg, with Knuckles slowing down the two's progress. As Knuckles falls into the water of the launch base after the Death Egg relaunches, Sonic and Tails go to stop Robotnik. As they go, they fight his contraption and then fight Big Arms, then with the Death Egg falling back onto Angel Island, with Sonic and Tails landing in Mushroom Hill. Sonic and Tails, after walking a bit, see that Knuckles is hiding something. If you collected all the Chaos Emeralds, Sonic and Tails enter the hidden room and see a rainbow warp ring. When entering, Sonic and Tails are transported into the hidden palace. Here, the Chaos Emeralds begin to fly upwards and take the place of these altars next to the Master Emerald. The Master Emerald is now granting stronger power to the Emerald, now known as the Super Emerald. As you return to these stages, you continue on your adventure, and after going through Lava Reef, Sonic and Tails return to Hidden Palace, this time on foot. Entering, you see a mural of a golden spike figure and a Robotnik-looking robot holding the Master Emerald. As Sonic, you fight Knuckles, and after defeating the Enchilada, Robotnik steals the Master Emerald, with Knuckles speaking to him and tries to stop him, with Sonic and Tails trying to stop as well. Or not, you can just stand there and watch, dick. After Robotnik steals the Emerald, the floor disappears, with Knuckles tired since he was just tased. Knuckles, now seeing the bigger picture, tells Sonic and Tails to follow him, transporting them to Sky Sanctuary. Knuckles opens the bridge for the two, with Sonic and Tails running through the sanctuary, defeating Mecha Sonic as they climb the tower to board the Death Egg. After boarding the ship and traversing it, Sonic and Tails fight Robotnik with a robot powered by the Master Emerald. After fighting it, if you did not get all the Chaos Emeralds, Sonic defeats Robotnik, but the Master Emerald falls into the ocean, with Angel Island staying in the ocean, with it being implied that Robotnik found the Emerald in the ocean or something. If Sonic collected all the Chaos Emeralds, the start of a trend begins. The true final boss begins that is only reachable with the Chaos Emerald. Sonic enters the Doomsday Zone and fights Robotnik's ship, defeats it, slams his face into the Death Egg robot, and grabs the Master Emerald, with Tails flying to catch both Sonic and the Emerald, with them returning it to Knuckles, with Angel Island floating back into the sky. Robotnik falls into the ocean, with a Flicky popping his flotation device, ending Sonic's story of Sonic 3. Knuckles has a separate adventure where an Egg Robo messes with him. He goes through Angel Island, reaches Sky Sanctuary, destroys Mecha Sonic, and returns the Master Emerald to Angel Island again, ending his story of Sonic 3. Damn, for a classic Sonic game, this is probably a more complex story than most classic Sonic games. Since the scope of the game was so much larger, that means that the storytelling was grander too. Levels have these transitions that lead into the next act of a zone and the next zone in general, feeling as if Sonic adventure is just constant. There's no stop. We just go, go, go. Levels also have segments of storytelling within them. Sonic finds Knuckles and deals with his BS. Robotnik's attempting to launch his ship with the launch base, the robots invading Angel Island, or the behind the scenes storytelling like Mecha Sonic not being destroyed in Sonic's story but returning for Knuckles and being destroyed there. Or the Hidden Palace mural where a golden spike being fights a long-nosed being for the Emerald. If we get a modern day Hidden Palace, I want to see this specifically. The bad ending does suck, and because of it makes me want to get the Chaos Emeralds, because what the hell, Angel Island and Knuckles need help. We have to. With the good ending just making you feel so accomplished and makes the journey feel complete. The storytelling is great, and this became standard storytelling for classic Sonic games. If any classic 2D game is going to tell a story, it has to do it like this. This was such a great way to tell the story. How the graphics also helped the storytelling too. With them experimenting with the 3D graphics, I imagine when they went back, they knew they had to be super detailed. Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles have so much detail on them. The levels themselves in the fore and background have so much quality detail. Like, look at that. You can see that. Sonic statues can be seen in Hydro City. Like, goddamn, dude. Like, this set the standard for pixel quality. Not as detailed as Mania, but Mania came out almost 20 years later. Yeah, Sonic 3 and Knuckles set the standard. Not just with the graphics, but with the gameplay as well. So now we have 3 playable characters. We will talk about her later. So Sonic 3 and Knuckles has all 3 characters playable. Sonic is the same as ever. Spin, dash, roll, jump, the works. But now Sonic has his extra abilities. So if you press the jump button again after jumping, for a brief moment, a shield will appear. This has a name in the manual, but fans recognize this as the Insta Shield. This destroys bosses and does help with enemies that cannot be defeated right away. It also, if timed right, can block projectiles. It's awesome, but really only appears in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. What a shame. However, the elemental shields also make their debut. While all the characters can use the shields with their secondary effects, Sonic is granted abilities with them. The Boba Shield allows all the characters to breathe underwater, but Sonic is granted a bounce when hitting the jump button again. The Fire Shield allows characters to be immune to fire and lava, but for Sonic he gets the Fire Dash, dashing forward like a fireball. Lastly, you have the Lightning / Thunder Shield. This shield is my favorite. The shield protects you from electrical attacks, which really only happen on Carnival Night and Okay, never mind. They only protect you in Death Egg. What the hell? I guess to correct for that, the shield was given the ability to draw in rings when close to them. Fucking awesome. Sonic is also granted a double jump with the shield, which damn, I mean in a platformer, hell yeah! All the shields protect you from one hit and can block small projectiles, but damn, the abilities Sonic gets are awesome. What about the other two? Well, Tails was given the ability to fly in this game, making his playthrough actually worthwhile. Sonic 2, he was just a copy of Sonic. Here he is granted flight, so you can have an easier time exploring the levels. But now for the man of the hour, Knuckles the Echidna. The first game with the dude. Knuckles can do the same as the rest, spin dash, roll, and jump, but he has his own things that make him unique. Knuckles, after jumping, can start gliding by using ancient hair technique from the Echidnas and using his dreads. Look man, that's what the Sonic Twitter said. I don't know how it works. Yeah, Knuckles can glide and it blocks projectiles. If Knuckles hits a wall while gliding, he can start climbing walls, letting him be able to explore the levels much easier. His biggest downside is his jump is much smaller than Sonic and Tails, and Amy's kind of making him the hard mode somewhat, but still plays similar to the core foundation. Hell yeah, that's what's up. His levels also have the most change that not even Sonic Mania has. Most levels in Mania are made for everyone, with Knuckles really only getting Mirage Saloon Act 1 unique to him and parts of Green Hill unique to him. Here in 3 and Knuckles gets a lot of paths that are designed specifically for him only. That's cool, but because of those specific paths, the new skills of Tails and Knuckles, and the new abilities granted to our boy, the level design also had to be pumped up. So Sonic 3 and Knuckles levels are huge to not only run through, but to explore. The level design has more vertical and horizontal design. You could say this is the start of it. Levels like Ice Cap is where you can see this the most. Bottom areas and top areas are massive, meaning running through the levels is fun. It doesn't do it as well as Sonic Mania, but here is where it got its start. However, the level design is great, but becomes So remember how I said Sonic 3 and Knuckles are technically 2 games in one? Well, more like 2 halves of one game? Well, the Sonic 3 levels are fantastic. Sonic and Knuckles levels, that sucks because holy shit. Angel Island, Hydro City, Ice Cap, Carnival Night, Launch Base are fucking amazing. They are some of the best levels to run through and explore. By the time you beat Robotnik and head to the and Knuckles levels, it starts off strong with Mushroom Hill. You are like, oh, okay, hell yeah. And you get to Flying Battery, and especially because of Sonic Mania, his version of it sucks. Alright, but what about the next level? Sandopolis. Damn, alright, that's whatever. Well, next, oh hell yeah, Lava Reef, that's pretty good. But then we do whatever in Hidden Palace, like this isn't even a level, it's a glorified cutscene. One Active Sky Sanctuary, which honestly is a cool level, but design, And then we ended with Death. Oh, damn. Looking at that, that means that the Sonic 3 levels are just so much better than the and Knuckles levels, which sucks because if you power through the entire game, it's not bad, it's enjoyable, and I can acknowledge that, yeah, this is one of the best classic Sonic games even now. But since the game is also one of the longest classic Sonic games, if you decide to take breaks because of the save system, if you literally stop after Launch Base like I did once, you will get low-key fed up with the and Knuckles levels to the point where you are just kind of done. But if you run through the entire game or take a break within the 3 levels, yeah, this game is awesome. But man, the level design in the Knuckles parts and combined with Mania, this isn't the best. But I can respect this game and acknowledge that originality-wise, this is the best classic Sonic game. I don't like the and Knuckles levels as much, but they aren't terrible. It is a great game where the level design truly did reach its peak for most levels. The Knuckles levels have too much sections that force you to slow down. Besides that, you have the special stages and bonus stages. Throughout the game, you will find checkpoints and hidden warp rings. When having a certain amount of rings, after crossing a checkpoint, stars will appear above it. By jumping into them, you can enter a bonus stage, one of 3. One where you gamble, one where you play with a gumball machine to get shields and rings, and the last one where you launch yourself to the top, gather ring shield, and at the very top is usually extra lives. This is cool because you can ignore it if you want, but if you want to get a shield for an area for extra protection, or you just want to, use Sonic's abilities, or you just want to collect more rings to fight a boss in the super forms, then yeah, this is a great way. But in order to be granted the super forms, you need to be collecting all of the Chaos Emeralds. That's where the warp rings come in. By entering a warp ring, the characters enter the blue sphere special stages. The goal is to turn all the blue spheres into red spheres. If you encompass a group of blue spheres in red ones, they all turn into rings. Bumpers and red spheres are your obstacles. If you touch a red sphere, that's it. If a bumper knocks you into red sphere, it's over. You can collect all the rings in a special stage, which gets you a perfect, which increases the score and is the best way to get continues in this game. But with the save feature, it's kind of pointless. But you have to do them in a specific order in order to get the perfect. And for some reason, the ring counter tells you how many you get, which is kind of weird because you don't know how many are left. After getting the 7 Chaos Emeralds, as I mentioned earlier, the Super Emeralds would be the next step. After you reach Mushroom Hill, it doesn't give you much time, but you can get them starting there, and you can get all the Super Emeralds by Mushroom Hill. Speaking of which, the Chaos Emeralds grant Sonic and Knuckles their super forms, meaning after collecting 50 rings and jumping, you unlock their super forms, granting you extra jump height, invincibility. For Sonic, he loses the Insta Shield and the Shield ability, but if you get an Electric Shield and Bubble Shield, you will still get their effects. Secondary effects anyways. Knuckles is also able to climb walls faster than before. The forms are still vulnerable to being crushed and drowning, however, then you have the Hyper Forms. After gathering the Super Emeralds, Sonic and Knuckles are granted their Hyper Forms. Sonic can now do a double jump, which basically makes him faster than light as the screen flashes and all enemies are defeated. It can also be considered a dash, which is badass. Like a dash jump, like holy shit. Knuckles just shakes the screen when he hits a wall, also defeating enemies. Tails, who didn't have a super form in the original game, is granted a super form and an army of flickies that defeat any enemy on the screen, including bosses. All I'm saying is don't mess with this guy. Not just that, the hyper forms are invulnerable to drowning. Hell yeah! The only downside is that when you have 50 rings, Sonic loses the ability to use the Insta Shield, which is alright, it's fine, I'll live. But Tails and Knuckles lose the ability to glide and fly since they will transform automatically even when you don't want to. These forms destroy bosses though. The bosses are great too. They have some creative boss fights in this game. They are still just Sonic bosses, which means you can just take a hit and hit them again and again, but they are some of the more creative classic Sonic boss fights. Some of them you actually can't just spam. So yeah, Sonic 3 arguably has the best classic boss fights out of any classic game. Some do kind of start a problem of having to wait to attack, but this doesn't become that bad yet. But just wait. Oh, just wait. With the super forms, you can also take them out way quicker too. The super form theme is kind of short and repetitive, but it's not bad. Music overall is great. Sonic 3 and Knuckles music is great. Hell, I mean, Miracle Johnson worked on it. Like, come on. The music doesn't have the Genesis twang. The music to this day is still good. Like, come on, these are bangers. There's a reason Sonic is known for his music, but now Sonic 3 and Knuckles, as mentioned, has struggled to be re-released because of it. But Sonic Origins is one of the first time it's happened again. Sonic 3 and Knuckles was finally re-released and used the retro engine. I will praise this engine till the day I die. It not only made changes but also added new stuff. For starters, the drop dash was given Sonic along with the Insta Shield. Hell yes, love the drop dash. Look at this is fucking amazing. Secondly, look who made her classic debut again. Amy is also now playable in a classic Sonic game. She has the same moves as before that we mentioned in the previous reviews, but after collecting the Super Emerald, she can now toss her hammer towards enemies. Pretty badass, especially for the bosses. Tails was also granted a regular super form with the regular Chaos Emerald, but no flickies, and his Super Emerald form is still referred to as his Super Tails form, which is kind of weird. Special stages also changed the ring quota to tell you how many rings are left for perfects instead of just how many you have. The coins let you retry a special stage and you can save and come back in between levels. This is honestly one of the best ways to play, but it's not perfect. Remember the music? Well, it had to be changed to the prototype versions, which sound great, but honestly, if you go online and listen to the actual prototype music, it does feel like something is missing in these. The super theme was also changed to
Oh God! Why didn't anybody tell me?
the live system is gone, widescreen support, they added mirror mode and anniversary mode. It's not the original, but hey, it's close to it. They also re-added the Big Arms boss fight and animated intro and outro cutscenes. It's great, but fuck man, some of these song changes suck. This is one of the best ways to play. Is there merit to playing the original lock-on technology version of it? Yes. Is there benefits of getting it on Origins Plus? Yes, absolutely. But I mentioned this at the beginning. With the release of Sonic Mania, did it affect how I look at 3 and Knuckles? The answer is yeah. Sonic Mania did affect how I look at it. Sonic Mania's biggest problem is that it reused many level aesthetics from older games, but it had some of the best level design in the franchise. Sonic 3 and Knuckles starts to dip in level design at the and Knuckles level, which sucks because the best levels in Knuckles are arguably Flying Battery, Lava Reef, and Mushroom Hill, which means that 2 of these levels were taking into Sonic Mania, where especially Flying Battery, these were done so much better in Sonic Mania, which also adds to it because Mania from beginning to end flows so well, with me being able to play it in under an hour and a half with the Chaos Emerald. Sonic 3 and Knuckles takes an hour and a half getting no emeralds or super emerald. 3 and K takes a while, and with levels having 4 slow segment, it really cements for me me that Mania has the best level design for classic Sonic because it got rid of forced slow sections and doesn't force you to slow down. If it does, other paths can speed it up. 3 and K doesn't do that, but here is the thing. Sonic 3 and Knuckles is still a great fucking game. It set the standard for classic Sonic and established what great level design is, and without this game, Sonic Mania wouldn't exist. 3 and K is a must play in my eyes. So is Mania, but with Mania's release, it did mitigate some of the enjoyment for Sonic 3 and Knuckles, but it's still fantastic. Not just that, even though in my eyes, the Knuckles levels are the weakest parts of the game, to me, this is still one of the best classic Sonic games to date. Mania, in my eyes, is the best, but if we take originality wise, I think Sonic 3 and Knuckles is still the best. Not perfect, but damn, this is such a great game. I can respect for what it did for the franchise and would definitely recommend this. With all that said, each classic Sonic game is available on Sonic Origins Plus along with 12 Game Gear games. I think it's worth it, and the fact that Sonic 3 and Knuckles is one of the hardest games to get because of the legal mumbo jumbo you have with Miracle Johnson, the only other way you have of hunting this down is with the original Genesis copies or buying the Sonic collections on GameCube or DS. Otherwise, this is your best way to play. So yeah, Sonic 3 and Knuckles is definitely worth playing. It may be long and not as good as from beginning to end as Sonic Mania, but the adventure is still fun and it sets the standard for a fun ass Sonic game. That's about it. That's all I have to say. Yeah, Sonic Mania may have hindered a bit of my enjoyment, but this game is still great. Whether you play it on Origins or original, play it. That's about it. You guys have a good one and take care.